Hey friends, I am here in today's video with something a little bit different, and we are going to be talking about something that I'm really grateful for in 2020, and it's a key business lesson that I probably wouldn't have learned if 2020 hadn't happened, or I would have learned in a really inconvenient time. So keep on watching if you want to learn more. So hey everyone, I am Vanessa and I help aspiring instructional designers and e-learning developers get off of the sidelines and get into the L&D game. And today I'm here with a business lesson. So you know that on this channel we talk about instructional design, we talk about e-learning development, we talk about freelancing. But today this is a pretty general business lesson that can apply whether you're an employee or you are a freelancer, and that's all about pivoting. So I have to say that if 2020 hadn't happened, I don't know when I would have learned this type of lesson, but it's definitely something that we've all had to do in some way, shape, or form, whether it's pivoting how we, interact with friends and family, social distance, how we, when we go to the store, now we're buying more groceries, online or, to be delivered, things like that. But pivoting in the business world, pivoting in instructional design in general has been one of the biggest lessons that I think the entire industry has learned. So at the beginning of 2020, well, really it was the end of 2019, I had really grand plans for 2020. 2020 was going to be my breakout year. I did have a psychic tell me that 2020 was going to be a good year, but not as big as I had wanted it to be, and 2021 was going to be my year. And I feel like that's actually what's happened. But I really have, not that I've enjoyed 2020 because I've missed my family and my friends, but I definitely have gotten a lot of value out of 2020. And that may be strange just to hear, and that is definitely not exactly what one would expect to hear someone say that they're grateful for, but it's true. I have met clients that I'm working with now where we're taking their instructor-led training and we're moving it into a virtual space that I wouldn't have met if it wasn't for this move to virtual. And there are things that I'm now learning and I'm creating a framework for and a process for that can now be reused and sold for other clients, and sold as a service that Anchored Training can offer that wasn't really necessarily a need before, and it wasn't something that people were looking for. It wasn't something that I thought about packaging and putting it into a service, but now it's here. And it's a really great model of taking instructor-led training and moving into virtual and what that process is like, and some things and key considerations that you want to think about, right? And also, in particular, in this case, this is a product that we're creating that they're going to then scale and market, and they're going to train other trainers to actually provide this content. So there's a whole bunch of, key aspects after the fact. So it's not just creating instructor-led training and moving it to virtual. It's that marketing scalability piece after, and training your trainers and doing all of those things and making sure that they have that knowledge. That's all part of this package that I wouldn't necessarily have created. So if you want to know more about that process and the process of going from instructor-led to virtual, or about key engagement in the virtual world, give this video a thumbs up, and I can definitely do a video about that as well. So I have to say, also going off of working with this client, they have been a really great client to work with. I've really enjoyed working with them. My instructional designer that's working with me on it, she's also really enjoyed working with them. And it's actually opening up these doors to areas and industries that I can work in, and contacts and referrals through this client that I would have never had before, and things that I've dreamt about doing, pretty big opportunities or possibilities of opportunities working with this client that I necessarily wouldn't have had 2020 not happened and they've had to move virtual. So I'm here to give you a couple of tips and a couple of things to think about how you can maybe take some of the key offerings that you have and pivot them a little bit to offer a service that's in need right now. So let's start with e-learning. So maybe you have clients that don't have the time really to put together an e-learning that's going to take 8 to 12 weeks to complete from start to finish, full production value, and they may not have the budget because budgets are kind of slashed right now. Well, are there other offerings and other tools that you can offer to create this product in that would better serve their budget and their timeline? So for example, if you can create the same learning outcome from the e-learning using a tool like Articulate Rise, well then maybe that's a better tool to use that can get the client up and running faster with their e-learning. And it may not be something that they would have gone with necessarily to start if they had the time and they had the budget for a full production e-learn, but it's actually a really nice way to get something to them fast, and that's easy and intuitive to use. So there's no navigation hurdles or anything like that you have to think about when you think about how someone's going to use an e-learn. So, I love to talk about software training. And so one of the areas that you can maybe think about pivoting in with e-learning is in software training. So maybe you have a client that comes to you and says, hey, we need to do a training on this new process that we have, or this new feature that we've added to our software, but we don't have the budget to create a full e-learn and do a whole, big production e-learn with it. Well, maybe it's just as effective for you to take your computer, record your screen, completing the action, and maybe use, an internal voiceover from either your client or yourself, something that's like a screencast tutorial or something that's kind of YouTube style that you would see. And it could be just as effective, both in cost, in time, and in value for your client. So just remember, when a client comes to you and says they want an e-learn, maybe the whole full production is not going to be what they need and not going to be what they can afford, but is there a value that you can offer them that circumvents that and allows them to continue to work with you and to use you in a different manner? And this isn't something that, so yes, the hit is going to be in the value or the dollar amount that you're getting. But if you think about it, if they're happy with your work, they're going to continue to use you even after COVID. And once they've bounced back, and, as this could actually open up into additional videos that they want to record, and the budget you end up getting more money out of it. So just open your mind a little bit and open yourself to the possibilities of doing things a little bit differently in e-learning. And I think that you'll see a really good return for your investment, if I can talk today. So back to that client I was talking about where we were creating, taking instructor-led content and moving it virtual. And something to think about, if you're a dynamic trainer, people don't know how to train virtually. They think that because they're a really good trainer in person, they're going to be a really great trainer virtually. And that is so not the case. And a lot of people have realized through pivoting and just taking their instructor-led content and moving it straight to Zoom and assuming that that's going to be enough, people just think that they are going to magically be the best virtual trainer as well. And that's not necessarily the case. So if you think about, there is a different vibe, and you can play off of how your students are reacting to you, and you can connect with them, and during breaks and before and after the classroom, you can see body language. These are all things that's very hard to see when everyone's a little box on the screen, or if you're sharing your screen, you only get a certain part of the class and not everyone. So it's definitely something to consider, providing a service of your presentation skills virtually and how to engage a classroom and how to take an instructor-led training material and move it virtually, or how to engage with your audience. Zoom is coming out with so many different integrations. They're always trying to improve, especially in the area of engagement and working with other apps, that it's something that you can now offer to your clients and say, hey, I just got this email from Zoom. They're integrating with, Google Jamboard or whatever the case may be. You may not know how to use it, but I can offer some time to show you guys how to use it and how you can use it in your own training. And we can walk you through a training that you're working on and actually apply using this new tool to that training. So you walk away with an actual product that you can now use, or an action item. So I think that there are definitely areas of opportunity in terms of sharing your knowledge and sharing your expertise with your clients. And it's not going to turn them away from future work or make them hoard everything in-house. It's just going to make them look at you in a different way. You're more of an expert. You're actually moving more into that consultant role that I think that really elevates you and adds value to you. And when you want to charge more, they're going to see that value. And of course, they're going to pay you more because you gave them so much value during this pandemic and during this time. Another thing that I want you to think about is, are all of your eggs in one basket? So if you are someone that is a freelancer and works with an agency, and you work maybe mostly with one agency because they give you so much work that it's like a full-time job, you'll want to get into other contractor pools in order to diversify the different areas or the different ways you can get projects. So just think about it. If something happened to that agency, if they somehow lost all of their clients, or if they got bought out by another company, well then you're going to be out of a job and you're going to be out of work. So if you put yourself in different contractor pools and you accept a job here and there, while you're working with your other client, that at least gets them to see your work more. You get your foot in the door. So if something were to happen where you to lose some of your business from your main client, you have other ways to supplement. So I want you to think about how you can diversify your income streams and work with different clients. Don't ever want to just work with one if you can help it, because you're really at their mercy. And if something happens there, then you're out of your funds and you're out of your paycheck. So I also want you to think about, are you a pro at one tool? This applies to that too. So maybe you're really great at Storyline or you're really great at Beyond and that's the tool that you use. Well, you're at that mercy of that tool. So you want to make sure that you are taking the time, maybe in COVID, like when you have a little bit more time to do some professional development, to learn some additional tools. So maybe you're learning more about Adobe Captivate. Maybe you're learning more about, Powtoons or things like that. Competitors of these tools, so you can use multiple tools, which one opens up your client base. So if a client says to you, well, we're looking for a Captivate designer, well, now you know Captivate in and out, hopefully, and you can apply for that position and get higher up on their list. Or frankly, I just want you to think about, if something were to happen to that tool, if it were just to go away, for example, like let's think about TikTok. Right? TikTok was almost banned in the US. If people made their livelihood, and some people do make a lot of money using TikTok, if TikTok were to go away, that's a huge part of their income that would have just gone away with it. So you want to think about that when you think about the different tools that you use and try to diversify that way. And then the next thing is, I want you to look at your target audience. Is there a way that you can expand that target audience or expand that ideal client where you're not exactly reaching, but it's still within your scope and kind of your wheelhouse? Because if something happened to that industry, well, you're going to be one of the first ones that goes along with it. So let's think about it. Right now, the hospitality and the travel industry are pretty much in the gutter for now. And I'm sure they'll bounce back, but is there another type of industry you could serve or another client that you could serve that has some of the same aspects and the same characteristics of the travel and hospitality industry that then you can go market to, and you can take what you've learned through the hospitality industry, through the airline industry and the industry that you serve, that you can then apply to their industry and provide value for those clients. So definitely want to think about if there's any industries or ideal clients that you can diversify with. Guys, listen, I know pivoting is not easy and it takes some creativity, and we're all tired, right? I'm tired all the time from 2020, from all of the madness that has happened this year, from the news and everything. I get it. But it's really important to take some of this time when hopefully it's a little bit quieter and you could do some reflection and can get some rest to think about your business. And are there ways that you can go into 2021 taking lessons that you've learned from 2020 and applying them to the future in 2021? So I want you to do that as your homework. Start thinking about ways that you have pivoted, ways that you plan to pivot in the future, things that you've learned that you can apply and market and sell to your clients. And now this pivoting is a lesson that I take now for the rest of my life and throughout my business. And it's something that I'm going to think about often. It's, let's go back to 2020 and let's remember what happened. Let's make sure not all of our eggs are in one basket, and let's make sure that we're diversifying and also offering a great value for our clients, because that's going to translate not only to our current clients, but potential and future clients. So now that you have this information, I want you to leave a comment down below with a lesson that you've learned in 2020, what you're grateful for, and what you're looking forward to in 2021. Friends, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.